Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up? Big Herc 916, getting down fresh out. Prison Talk. Yeah, man, we get a lot of questions about people who have these romantic views of prison. And then you have people who do time, get out, and brag about prison like it was just a party up in there. It was just the best place to be, and they were doing burpees and push-ups and all this stuff. And yeah, you do burpees, you do push-ups, you walk the track, you try to keep your mind right for the most part. But if you're celebrating prison like it's a rite of passage, or you're encouraging young men that prison is not a big deal, you're straight garbage, man. You're straight garbage because you're setting these young people up for failure, and you're promoting a false narrative. You're glorifying bullshit. And prison is bullshit. There's nothing in prison that I miss. Nothing. I don't miss the food. I don't miss the people. I don't miss the politics. I don't miss being away from my family. I don't miss showering with a bunch of men. I don't miss being told what to do. I don't miss being told when to get up, when to go eat. I don't miss none of that shit. And what was really disturbing was when the bus would arrive with new people and everybody would get excited, looking to see if one of their homies came. And when they homie hit the yard, oh man, the homie so-and-so's here, or the homie here, so-and-so, oh man. And I was just like, I was baffled, man. I didn't understand why you would get excited to see somebody you knew on the street in prison with you. How horrible is that? To know that not only you're doing time, but the homie that you enjoyed good times with on the street is also in prison doing time with you, and now you got somebody to do your time together with. It's just a crazy concept, man. How they conditioned the prison population to buy into the concept of prison, it's insane to me, and people have bought into it. Guys in there doing the time, you made some mistakes, you're paying for your crime, whatever you did to disrupt society, quote unquote. But to get in there and then politic and play the convict game is even worse. It's different if you get in there, you utilize the time to better yourself, you learn about the law, you learn about yourself, why you did what you did, and the mistakes you made. And hopefully you can transition into a better person. You can kind of figure out, what moves you need to make when you get out so you don't have that same mind frame. And not to blur the moral aspects of prison, because there a lot of people say, well, the biggest drug dealers, the biggest gangsters out there is the government. And that may be true. And if you're doing it with a uniform on, you can get away with a lot more. But when you're doing it in civilian clothes, you're going to get your wig split. And that's not really what this discussion's about, because we all know that the real gangsters wear suits. And they sit in high-rise buildings or in certain military installations, they're calling shots. But the other side of the game is what's considered the street level, and that's promoted because it's a money maker for those who invest in the prisons. And so, of course, being able to send videos home now, showing guys in there eating pizzas and, having cell phones and video games and, just doing their time. So, you're not really missing that much. And, we've had guys on here who've talked about, hooking up with the guards, in some of them prisons, especially in the state down south, man, they got guards up in there, females that are getting their cheeks busted on the regular. They in there, it's like a club. They in there hooking up with the ballers, they're doing their thing. It's wild up in there. So the time goes by and there's not a lot of emphasis put on change of self because you're just living for the moment. And you're still dealing with the politics because if you're making big moves in there, dudes are hating on you, they're watching you, and you got to be careful because people are setting you up. You still go to the hole. You can still get caught up because the female guard can say that, hey, you made a move on her and they can throw you in the hole, disciplining you. There's all kind of stuff. So you're still, you're still skating in a gray area. But the bottom line is that to glorify prison and what's even funnier is when, you got guys on the street trying to dress like they're in prison. Who wants to look like they came from prison? Who wants to wear khakis all the time with a whatever, prison jacket? They give you what is it, looking like a jean jacket or like a Dickie type jacket and you're walking around. Really? You want to look like you were in San Quentin or you were in Corcoran or you were in Lompoc, you want to look like you're a prison person? You're about as goofy as they come. You want people to immediately identify you with jail? I used to see guys working out in the gym and I could tell by their workouts that they did time even if they didn't dress like it. They would have on gloves, look like they came from Home Depot or Harbor Freight. They would be doing pull-ups in between each chest exercise or leg exercise, or they'd be doing a push-up, and then they would walk around the gym and they would look at the clock. These guys are on yard time. They working out like they on the yard. And that's a institutionalized thing. And some people don't know how to let that go, or it takes years for them to let that go, or they're not even conscious of it. It's just like a guy working out in the gym. I see his socks pulled up over his calf, and I'm like, oh, dude was up in the pinta, or he's working out in the gym and he's got on straight. I see dudes in there in straight jeans and a white T-shirt working out like he just came off the from the unit. And some dudes, that's what they work out in, jeans and a T-shirt or a button-up shirt because you never peel. In prison, and dudes who are really like that, they're not walking around in a tank top, no shirt on. They never take their shirt off. Most dudes who are super swole, I've seen dudes up in there benching 400, 500. You never seen them. You only seen them bench with a khaki on, and the khaki was like a 2 or 3X, so they was on swole. But they wouldn't walk around in no tank tops or nothing so you could see. It's not that type, man. When I see these guys like, hey, man, look at my abs, man. Look at my biceps. Oh, look at I'm like, man, I ain't never heard of a grown man that's anything about being a man asking another dude to look at his abs or look at his glutes or look at his hamstrings or, man, you just know who you are. You don't need another man to validate that. And if a guy's bragging about that, he's really a scared little kid. If he's constantly talking about other men and this and that and bragging about he's a scared little kid, because a real lion, a real savage, he's never going to talk about what his stats are or how much he's benching or what he's working with on a curl bar, or, you'll see it, but he ain't got to declare it. And so, yeah, the prison glorification thing, it's even hard for me to get. I know some hitters, some dudes, They don't have to come out here bragging about what they put in their booty hole as far as paperwork. These dudes were hitters. And I can't even really get them to come on here because they so humble. They don't want nobody to even know they did time. They're working regular jobs, they're living their life, and they're not bragging about, they don't care that anybody even knows what they went through. I know dudes who was in ADX. I know dudes who spent years in the hole, guys who, as soon as they hit the yard, they were breaking broomsticks off, making shanks, putting in work. I know some dudes who was basically doing gladiator fights where the guard would open up and see him get down with a couple dudes and bet on them. I know dudes who was involved in real shit like that, but I can't get them on the channel even though we partners because they don't want nobody to know this is the type of person they were in the Pinta, because it might affect who how people look at them on the street, and that side of them they try to keep under wraps. People think because you talk a certain way or you act a certain way, a lot of people don't even know who they're talking to a lot of times. I know some dudes, man, one of my partners, and sometimes we go out and I'm seeing people in the way they act, and I'm like, dude, they don't even know. This dude can get a pen and put their lights out with an ink pen. This dude can break their elbow, can dislocate their shoulder, just like that, because he's bad and he's a monster and he's a beast in hand combat. But they don't know, and so the most dangerous man, a lot of times is the quietest person, and he's not braggadocious. He's not wearing it on his chest, and to be honest, he's probably not even tatted. I do know some guys who are tatted up in there, but they got real ink. It ain't no play ink, and they're not putting stuff on them to make themselves seem hard. They got that on there for a purpose, and I respect that. And there's some real G's out there. I know some dudes on both sides, some dudes that or North Daniels. I know some dudes who are some Serranos, and I know some dudes who are some bikers that are real dudes, and they're not even walking around flossing they ink, but they got real ink. It ain't play ink. It ain't make-believe ink, and they're not pretending that they got the ink doing something. The ink speaks for itself. So when you listen to a lot of these dudes on these prison channels and they're bragging, talking shit, I've been doing this for over a decade. I ain't got nothing to brag about on here. I wasn't no super dude. I wasn't raising my hand. I wasn't trying to hit the yard. Dude, I was trying to stay out the way because I was praying that I didn't have to take a life in there. I was praying that I didn't have to get down to an extent where somebody, I had to hurt somebody, because I wasn't getting no one-on-ones. I wasn't, I didn't have no homies, so I know whoever I got into it with, because I'm a bigger dude, I was going to get jumped. So I had to most likely use a weapon, and that would make me catch another case. I already had a decade. I didn't want to catch more time on top of the decade, and I knew my family wasn't coming in or see me. I wasn't getting no mommy visits, no girlfriend visits, no relative visits. I wasn't getting no visits, so I already had to do a decade by myself. You think I want to do 2 or 3 decades by myself? I've never even seen what the visiting room look like in prison. That's why I don't glorify it. So these dudes out here, oh man, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, working out is only gonna get you so far. You gotta be able to think, man. And when dudes try to rely upon their muscles and they thinking, oh man, this guy does it. One of the most dangerous dudes I ever met, he barely weighed probably $130. Dangerous, been to Pelican Bay, shoe program, dangerous, quiet, tatted up, didn't weigh over $130, $140. Man, don't let the muscles fool you. Don't let these loud talkers fool you, man. Realize that a lot of people are selling wolf tickets. A lot of this prison glorification stuff, they're actually doing the work of the system because they keep their stock moving, because they keep people doing dumb shit to go to prison. And then they got squares out here trying to talk like they've been to prison. You got squares out here trying to act like they've been to prison. Trying to get tattoos like prison, act like they've been to prison, and then they go to prison and get some real dudes up in there and they mess around and get their wig split. Hey, I'm just sharing with you guys because I want to see you win. Don't let these dudes pump you up for a failure. Big Herc 916, fresh out, prison talk.